Welcome to Our Satsang Journey, the podcast where we explore the challenges and triumphs of being a young adult in satsang. Join us this week as we explore the struggles of balancing seva, ahnik, and personal satsang with different aspects of our life. Today, we're joined by Darshil bhai, Parth bhai, and myself. My name is Ishan. I'm a second-year resident doing internal medicine in Atlanta. I do seva as a Kishore RC lead. Parth bhai, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
My name is Parth. I'm from Perry, Georgia, and I am working as a project manager and a Power BI developer for Microsoft. I've also been doing Balamundo Seva since 9th grade, so it's been a lot of years, and I've been in that same Seva till this day.
My name is Darshil. I am currently from Tampa. I work in the IT cybersecurity field for public supermarkets. I'm currently a yuvak RA. I've been doing BKY seva since 2008.
Nice. Well, nice to have you guys here. So when I first got my seva, I got an email from one of the Puja Santos, and the bottom of that email said, "When the going gets tough, the tough get going." At the time, I didn't really think much of it, as I've sort of transitioned into Yuvak Mandal and paused to reflect on how my life has been. That phrase has really shaped the way I've developed my work ethic, the way I've shaped and gone around in my career. And I've realized that my connection to satsang has really weakened as I've transitioned into Yuvak Mandal. And this phrase of when the going gets tough, the tough get going, has really been something that I've reflected on a lot. Specifically when it comes to seva, which is what's kept me grounded in the times when other aspects of my life have been busy, has been the phrase that's really pushed me along. How have you guys sort of experienced seva or challenges in seva that have kept you connected in satsang?
Yeah, one of the challenges definitely comes to us naturally because we're so competitive in our careers and our schoolwork and everything. And so whenever you put in all your effort and you put in a lot of work into your seva, I think one of the first challenges that come to mind is you feel a little undervalued. Like I said, it's natural for anyone to feel that way. But it's just that feeling that comes in, and it kind of takes you away from what you're actually trying to do there. But yeah, one of the challenges is definitely feeling the undervaluedness.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. It's every Sunday, right? Like we come to mandir, we do Seva, whether it's cleaning up after dinner or cleaning bathrooms or washing vasans or whatever, right? And this Seva is supposed to be done by everyone.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times what happens is as yuvaks, everyone likes to go home early for whatever reason it might be. They might be busy with whatever they got to do. But it's gotten more and more like that where people leave early. And then it gets kind of frustrating, right? Because, so many people are there, like in the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, nobody's there. And then all the seva falls on like the few people that are left.
Yeah, I can relate to that frustration in a way when I realized this. We've grown up going to mandir on a regular basis and spending an entire Sunday at mandir. I remember I thought about this when one of my coworkers he started playing disc golf recently, and I had asked him if I can join him because I want to explore that. And he's like, "Yeah, listen, I'm gonna go play Sunday. Come join me." I'm like, I have mandir. I'm gonna go to my temple on Sunday. I'm probably not gonna be able to make it. He's like, that's fine. Like we can go in the morning or you can come in the evening whenever you have the time after your temple, before your temple, come through. But I'm like, no, it's like an all day thing. And for him, it was a shocking moment to kind of realize that like we spent an entire day at the temple. And so when you talk about that frustration, it's like, yeah, like I could be going to do other things instead of doing that. So and just that thought process.
That's so funny because that just happened to me recently because I picked up pickleball, and there's older people that play or whatever, but they keep texting me asking me like, oh hey, do you want to like go play tomorrow? And tomorrow Sunday, and I'm like, no, I have to be at my temple, which I'm at all day. And they're like, okay, and then they ask me the same question the next week, and I'm like, bruh, it's just every week thing, and they're just like, oh okay. So it's kind of confusing to a lot of people, but it's normal for us because we've grown up with it our whole lives.
Yeah, I think speaking of growing up, the fact that we play pickleball is like I think a sign that we're getting
Yeah,
older.
yeah, definitely.
But outside of that, I think it's really difficult when we're trying to balance different aspects of our life. I recently got married about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and so again, one of the challenges of being a yuvak is you have other things that come into your life that isn't just mandir, isn't just school. Now you have someone else that you're sort of thinking about, and you have to sort of not have to, but you want to spend time with your significant other as well. So I think those things can be really difficult to manage. My schedule can be really, really difficult. Sometimes I have 12-hour days and I'm working 6 days out of the week, and that goes on for 3 weeks at a time. So when I have that one day off, we try to take the Sunday off and come to Mandir. But even then, when you only have 24 hours where you're not working and you have to come to Mandir for maybe even like 6 hours of that, sometimes that becomes a really difficult sort of time management issue, and it feels really overwhelming, and it shouldn't, because it's really all about the mindset that we have when it comes to seva. um, I don't know how you all manage working, spending time with your significant others, and also just going to mandir in general, but that's been a struggle for me.
Yeah, I mean I think that's a struggle for everyone, because when we have something that's coming up, right, like a samayo, or I mean, we just had Hari Jayanti or Sham Yagnas, like just cleaning the mandir, right, and we have to come on a Saturday or a Friday to mandir. Like, I think that's one of the areas where it's tough, because that's our weekend, right? That's where we have days off, or that's where we want to chill and do other things, or spend time with our families or whatever it might be. And that's where it's like, okay, are we willing to sacrifice our time and do this seva, or do whatever it is for mandir?
Yeah.
And so that's
I
big.
don't know about you guys, but I think slowly as I grow up and go from Kishore Mandir to Yuvak Mandir, I'm realizing that the times that I spend at Mandir, like you said, going from Shram Yagna, things like that, I think I use that as an opportunity to kind of catch up with a lot of the other Yuvaks and, actually build that genuine relationship with everyone else. Because we have such a strong satsang community, it's important that we do that, or keep that in mind. It's something that's made seva a lot more fun, and all these other activities that we do at Mandir are a lot more fun because we get to do it together. They say the phrase "more the merrier" kind of way. In that sense, I think I've taken that as an opportunity to kind of catch up with Yuvaks.
Yeah, I've definitely done that too. I mean, during seva, I mean, that's what makes seva fun, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to that feeling more, where
Yeah.
when we do seva, it's fun, versus like, oh, we're doing seva because somebody told me to do it. This kaka told me to get up and clean this thing, right? It's have fun while doing it, and that's
Definitely
what
have
gets
had
more
a lot of
people.
meaningful conversations with Yuvaks
Yeah.
through seva while doing
Yeah.
seva.
And I think that's sort of the mindset that we sort of have to maybe change for ourselves, that we're not doing seva for someone else. It's really personalizing this seva for us. I recently took on a new role as a part of my residency to sort of help out with more of the didactic portions, which are just lectures that we give out. But the sort of responsibilities that I have for my role here is really what I used to do as a Sabha Sanchalak, which is just reaching out to people and following up, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance, and letting them know that, hey, you're going to be presenting this day. And it's really sort of brought things back full circle for me, where the things that I didn't think were important to me when I was a Sabha Sanchalak are really actually coming back, and those skills that I developed have really shaped my career now moving forward. I think when we talk about seva, there's an example of a Kishore here who went to Georgia Tech, Shivam Bhai, who's actually from Calhoun, which is about an hour and a half away from where he goes to school. And his commitment to his seva is so strong that he drives back every single Sunday. He drives back even throughout the week if he needs to, even on the weekend, to help out with dance practices or making sure sabhas are being done properly, and even running sabhas on every single Sunday. And hour and a half back and forth is a long time. It's 3 hours of your day, and Tech isn't an easy school. I think Parth, you went there.
Yeah, I went there. Yeah, I would not do that, honestly. Yeah, that's crazy, because I mean, studying for those classes and studying for those tests, like, I would pretty much use any free weekend I had to study. So I couldn't take that time out to go to Mandir and then drive back again, like drive there and drive back. That's
like
a
3
lot,
hours,
man.
3
That's a
hours round
lot
trip,
of time. Yeah.
But I think I look at that and kind of introspect a little bit about the dedication and inspiration that Sri Rambai gave, not only to us, so while we're talking about it, but also to the Calhoun. Calhoun is not really a big center; it's a small center. So developing the young generation over there, and for for them to be able to look up to Shivambai and say that like, hey, look at the dedication that Shivambai is putting into his seva, and that also comes into the prapti vichar that that Shivambai has had for his seva. We talk about it all the time. Is that the seva that we're doing, it easily can be done by someone else. It's not that we're there because we're the only ones that can do it.
No,
It's
yeah.
having that prapti vichar that the seva we're doing, obviously. Anyone
We're
can do it.
lucky,
You
yeah.
can do it. Ishan can do it. So
And
Yeah.
Praptino Vichar is something that Mansai Mara just told us to do 15 minutes a day. It's something that's like so simple. It can be a part of our ahnik, but ahnik in itself becomes really difficult to do sometimes. At least for me, when I come home again from work and I'm there, and it just becomes so difficult to try to commit time or doing it properly. Oftentimes, because my shifts are sometimes early in the morning and I have to be there, and I'm tired, and I don't wake up on time. So something has to give, because you can't be at work on time, but also have done everything else properly. And oftentimes it ends up being my puja, unfortunately. And so I do what's called an express puja, where it's like, hey, I got 10 minutes and I got to fit every single thing in 10 minutes. And so I'll do this express puja and show up. But the issue that comes with that is that throughout the day, there's something nagging in my brain that you did something wrong this morning, and you have to sort of find a way to fix that. And that becomes a really big struggle, to find a way to balance your ahnik, doing it properly, and also finding a way to do everything else properly.
Yeah, in your work schedule, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm guilty of the express puja too, man. So I mean, I work from home and I still do express puja. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I might have a meeting in like at whatever time, and then I'm like, oh crap, I have a meeting. Like, I have to hurry up and do my puja real quick. So yeah. I'm definitely guilty of it too.
Ahnik, speaking of Ahnik, my wife and I, we recently got married about 8 months ago, and we started doing satsang reading. So we used to read Vachamruts towards the end of our day to kind of end off our day as part of our daily ahniks of reading Vachamrut. And we found ourselves slowly kind of skipping certain days, and then eventually just stopping it altogether. And what kind of brought us back on track to be able to do that again was having someone that kept us accountable. And so for us, it was my wife's grandmother who helped us she would remind us like, hey, did you guys do it today? And so that's when we realized that having someone that holds you accountable and keeps you on track for these daily ahniks that we do. And speaking of, like, you just talked about, you guys both talked about your express pujas and like having the right people around you. Me thinking from what you guys said, I just thought about like, I actually have done that. Like, I've done an express puja, and it's not, I don't even need to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we can do to help us, right? And accountability is one thing. Like, having people to help us to do things better, or remind us to do chesta, whatever, right? Like, I mean, I have reminders to chesta, I have reminders to do all that, but sometimes I skip it. But
we talk about there's in any aspect, we talk about how consistency is key. Like, if you go to the gym, if you're consistent, you're gonna see progress,
get results.
And same thing with ahnik. And I think that's one of the challenges, is keeping it consistent. Like I mentioned with me and my wife, it was really hard to keep that consistent.
Yeah,
I think doing satsang with your spouse, your wife, is like really something that helps us grow together. But sometimes it can backfire too. I think someone brought up chishta, and the only reason I say that is because we've been guilty of this, where we play chishta every day. Before we got married, we'd do it over FaceTime, and do chishta all the time and properly do it. And now we start chishta and we'll be doing cleaning up and we're doing something or another with it. And there's been a couple times where before I go to bed, I'll ask my wife, hey, did we do chishta today? And every single time we've done it. Don't get me wrong, we do it every single day, but in my mind, it's become such a monotonous routine thing that I'm not actually paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm just, it's playing in the background and it's done. So I think growing with your partner is such an important thing, but also like having the right people around you and making sure that you're holding each other accountable, like Darshil Bhai said, is equally important.
Yeah, it's important to reflect on ourselves too, right? Like, did I do this right? Because I mean, like, we look at our guru, right? He will redo chesta even if he's already done with it, and that's like, man, I could not. I mean, I honestly personally couldn't do 30 minutes of chesta again. So like, we have to reflect on how we're doing it, right? Because that's one thing. Maybe puja too, right? Like, I've thought about it too. I'm like, man, I do all these things to get ready in the morning. I get up, brush my teeth, sometimes floss, take a shower, and then I get ready, whatever I might do, and then I do puja. And at that point, only at that point I'm like, oh, I gotta speed up, right? And then I think back, I'm like, man, why did I sacrifice like puja out of all my things? You know, because is that what its value is to me? Is that it's in the bottom of the totem pole, or like, do I actually care about satsang? Do I actually care about what I'm doing in satsang and pleasing Maharaj? So I mean, like like that's what actually that helps, I guess.
Yeah.
But kind of focusing on trying to get it better.
I think another thing is that like Ishan I mentioned earlier about surrounding yourselves with the right people. A lot of us, or at least I do, I live far away from Mandir, where a lot of the Mandir people don't live in that area. So I live at least an hour away from Mandir, and so you're not really surrounding yourselves with that satsang community during the week. And like a lot of us have our work friends that we talk to, all different types of people, like neighbors, all, and so surrounding yourself, and like I mentioned earlier, having that consistency in the gym. Part of the reason I can be consistent in the gym is because I have a workout partner, and so finding the right people that surround you, that kind of remind you to constantly inspire you. Like I mentioned, you inspired me to think about how I do my puja. Like if I'm doing my puja fast and I'm skipping things and I'm still going late to work, then what's like, why am I doing that? Like that's something that I started thinking about when you just mentioned it. And so having those right people around you is definitely important.
Yeah, there's a yuvak in Gainesville currently who's doing his fellowship in hematology oncology. He's trying to be a cancer doctor essentially, and as a part of fellowship and any training that we do in medical school and onwards, there's often times, and this is not just for medical school. I'm sure you all have experiences as well. There's social gatherings that you have to sort of you're not necessarily required to, but highly strongly encouraged to go to make connections or whatever. And so he had a similar situation. And so his boss's wife owns a pizza restaurant or whatever. And so they were all going to go there, and he doesn't eat out. And so he told them this situation, and as a way of compromising, he told them that I'll come to your restaurant and I'll come to this gathering, but I'm going to bring my own pizza sauce. I'm going to bring my own cheese. I'm going to bring my own ingredients. And as long as you guys keep everything clean and let me sort of do things my way, I'll be there. And instead of telling him like, yo, it's fine, just do your thing, don't come, it's okay. Like his boss went above and beyond to make sure that the equipment was clean, to make sure that he had all the right ingredients. And we oftentimes think that our rules set us back and they prevent us from sometimes even succeeding in life. But in reality, it's the other way around. I feel like that having these values that satsang has given us is sort of what actually springs us forward.
It's cool that you bring that up. We have, outside of Mandir, we have other relationships that we have to maintain and manage, with our coworkers, with our neighbors, just in general. Overall, we have a lot of relationships that we manage outside of Mandir. And there's a prasang of a yuvak who had a potluck set up. His team had set up a potluck for an event, and he had brought his things, and he had relayed to them that he's a vegetarian. He has these special niyams that he follows, and he's a vegetarian. He had failed to say, obviously, he didn't go in detail that he doesn't eat onion garlic, but so they had made special food for him as he's a vegetarian, and realized after that it had some onion powder in it or garlic powder in it, and in that situation, it's very tough to tell someone that made something specifically for you, like, hey, I still can't eat it. But so seeing that, like, it's an inspiration that you still will go out of your way to, be able to manage those kind of relationships when it comes to these niyam dharma.
Yeah, I mean that situation, that's tough. Like sometimes you just be like, I'll just eat it just so I can like not have to deal with my boss being mad at me because he made food for me, or my coworker made special food for me and I didn't eat it. But honestly, they respect it a lot. I feel like in the outside world, the bosses, coworkers, they all respect whatever values or niyams that we follow a lot. I mean, I had it personally happen to me, my first job. And he asked me, like, because, we went out to eat, whatever, as a team. And I didn't eat out. I told him that from the beginning. I'm like, hey, I don't eat out, so I'll come, but I'm not going to eat. And then afterwards, he, pulled me over to the side. He's like, hey, like, he's an Indian guy too, by the way. He's South Indian. He's like, hey, like, were you born here? I was like, yeah, I was born in America. He's like, why do you do all these things? Because he also saw my tilak janlo. He's like, you do this tilak janlo and you don't eat out. You follow these niyams. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's just part of my life. I've been doing it since I was a little kid, and these are my values. And he was like, well, I respect it, because he was confused, because usually the norm is that you come here or you're raised here or whatever, and you don't, like, normally Indians or anyone don't keep these values going forward in their life. So it's respected to see that.
I've heard a lot of these type of situations where or I actually experienced it myself, is that they respect our culture and how grounded we are to our culture.
Yeah.
And that's something that Prong Swami and our Guru Parampara has done a great job of fostering that into our youth, and
Yeah.
making sure that all of us stay grounded to our culture.
I think Parth's point earlier of his boss sort of talking to him about his traditions is so relatable, because I think for all of us, our identity starts with satsang. The values that we have, the way we present ourselves to our bosses, our spouses, other people at mandir, or literally anybody else, is really what defines who we are. Yeah. And all of that comes from the satsang that we have. And I think that's something that we lose as we transition into Yuvak Mandal a little bit, because we're trying to work a little bit harder at our career to get the next job. We're getting into a new relationship because you're looking forward to the rest of your life and you're looking for a life partner. And all these other things, when they start, sort of help us move forward in life, but also in a way hurt us, because it takes us away from our identity in satsang, and it changes the way we look at things.
Yeah, so I agree with that completely, because going to mandir from Ba Mando to Kisha Mando, it was always fun, right? Because whenever I got invited to go to mandir on Friday and Saturdays, I was so excited because there was events going on, or the good food or whatever, right? It was always fun. And that's the feeling I got going to mandir on weekends. But now going to Yuvak Mando, it's completely opposite. It's if somebody asks us to come to mandir on Fridays or Saturdays, we're gonna ask questions, be like, how much time do you need me for? Why do I need to go? It's just the vibe isn't there anymore. So
it's like Ishan mentioned. We have a lot more priorities in our life now. Like when we were Balmander and Ishan Mander, the only thing we had to worry about was maybe schoolwork, or I want to go play sports with my friends or whatever.
Yeah.
But as yuwaks and as we grow older, we have more priorities. We have, some of us are newly married, so we're new husbands. Some of us have kids that we have to maintain that relationship and make sure we're doing all that, everything on that end. And then we also have to maintain our relationship with our parents more than we used to before. And so, me speaking about these, like I said, some of the meaningful conversations I have with people is at mandir during seva and stuff. And so I was speaking to a senior karyaker, an older karyaker, that's been through something like this, and he made a really good point. He said that the relationship that you have in satsang and the relationship you have with the satpurush, it's a direct reflection of how your relationship is going to be in everything else, in all aspects. So whether it be school, or whether it be your career, your personal lives with your spouse, your parents, if you're a parent, yourself with your kids. And so, and that really put me into the thought process that, like, all these things that we do at mandir, we get overwhelmed by them, but at the end of the day, it's helping us.
They're really important.
Building that stronger connection with the Satpurush, and at the end of the day, it is strengthening our relationship everywhere else as well.
Yeah. I think satsang keeps us grounded. It's sort of what you said, that the way your connection to satsang is how it's reflected in your life. So, if you're going home and having arguments every day, or if you're struggling in work trying to do this project, I think it's a direct reflection that the samjhan that we had when coming into satsang, that none of this is in my hand, or whatever it might be, that's sort of faltering, and that is the shift in perspective that I think we have to do a better job of going and seeing a little bit more of.
Yeah, again, involving ourselves in mandir is super important. I think up until like whenever, right? Like I think we should always do it, because, like you said, it does reflect in every aspect of our life, and there's so many things to involve ourselves in. All these shibirs, tournaments that we have, these events that we have. So it's important to do that, because it does. It's helped me personally. I'm pretty sure it's helped you guys as well, where being a leader in some aspects has translated directly over to my career, and that's helped so much.
So, Parth, you mentioned attending different events, rekindling that connection to satsang. What is something that you think you might have done, or what are things that have helped you reconnect to satsang? We talked about the identity piece. We talked about shifting priorities. I know you've been to site seva. Has that been something that's really returned your connection to satsang? Has that played an impact in the way you've sort of lived your life after?
Oh yeah, definitely. Out of all the events and all the things that I've been part of at mandir, I think site seva has been the biggest thing I've done that's impacted my life in satsang. And it was a big decision for me to even go, because I quit my job and I stayed there for about a year and a half to go there. But I can definitely say after looking back on it that it was the best decision of my life. And there's a few reasons because of that. Because obviously it was fun, and second, it was that I got to build a lot of smoothies there, right? And that was through the seva that we did there, the prarthanas that we did together, the stuff that we learned together there. I mean, we actually did a lot of goshtis together too, and built our satsang knowledge together too. So not only were we just doing physical seva, but we're also growing our satsang jnana at the same time. And at the end of the day, we're doing something, all of us that were there was different people from all aspects of careers, like doctors, engineers, computer scientists, there's all different kind of people there, but we all came to do something that was bigger than ourselves. And on that last day, on the Akshardham Mahotsav day, once we finished that final dance, once we were done, everyone was crying. And that was tears of sadness because we were leaving, but also tears of joy because we got something so great to take back with us for the rest of our lives.
You talk about building the smoothies, and another thing that I mentioned earlier about the perspective and different responsibilities you have is that, like I said, I was recently married, and so building these kind of smoothies and remembering these moments. One of the things we did recently was we visited Australia when the Satpurush was there. And so, we took that as an opportunity to not only visit the Satpurush and also build that memory of Fuldo, experiencing Fuldo with the Satpurush that we can carry on for the rest of our lives together. But we also took it as an opportunity to indulge in some of the hobbies that we have, like traveling outside, traveling internationally. And so it was a great way for us to get ourselves involved and connect to the satsang community outside of the daily Sunday to Sunday people, and really kind of get that perspective of how satsang is actually dealt with outside, like with other people, and bring that into my lives, into my own personal spiritual path that I want to go on.
And then we talked about shifting priorities, shifting our perspective, really looking at the bigger picture, and being able to go to a different continent and seeing the level of connection that they have with satsang, and sort of bringing that back to you is such a great example of sort of just zooming out and being able to really see the bigger picture. Yeah, and I think we often get focused into seeing what's exactly in front of us, and sometimes forget to zoom out. Yogi Bapa used to have this bodh katha of the few men and the elephant, and the men were blind, and each person is touching some part of the elephant. So the guy touching the elephant's leg thinks it's a tree trunk, the guy touching its tail thinks it's a rope, and the guy touching its ear thinks it's a fan. And the man who can actually see is looking at these fools and seeing that they're actually touching an elephant. And I think sometimes that's sort of who we are. We focus in on these different aspects of our life, and we focus in on that. We just think that, like, my career is the most important thing right now, but we forget to zoom out and see the big picture here. And I think that's what we have to go back to doing. I think the thoughts that you both shared have really helped me pause and reflect on different aspects of my life and helped me zoom out a little bit more. So thank you for joining me and joining us today on Our Satsang Journey podcast.